My friends, welcome back to another shir from the Beis Medrash Besimcha, going virtual here from Telem, a little base 10 minutes from Kiryat Arba. And today we'll be learning about the Hanissim prayer in honor of the upcoming holiday of Hanukkah. Bezrat Hashem, tonight we're all excited to start saying Hanissim. And this shir will be dedicated, like all of our shirs, B'Shem Kol Yisrael, for the protection of our brothers and sisters fighting all over Israel, especially down in Gaza, and for the refuah shleim of anyone who needs a healing, and for any yeshuas that Am Yisrael needs. Nothing better than learning about Tfillah, and Baruch Hashem had a long 8-hour shift to learn a little bit about the Hanissim prayer. I'm basing a lot of this on the insights of Rabbi Avi, I think Bogliminsky. If I'm getting the name, I'm sure he'll forgive me. He's got an unbelievable sefer called Vidibar Tabam, which I use all the time. Tremendous Talmud Chacham, and some other insights from other great rabbis. Let's jump right into it. Hanissim Eyala Purkan Eyala Gurot Eyala Juot. So we know that Chazal decreed that we have an obligation to do Hallel v'Hoda'ah. So Hallel, we all know about that, right? But where's the Hoda'ah? So Hallel, actually, we imagine that's the Hallel we sing after Shachris. But the Hoda'ah perhaps seems to refer to the Hanissim prayer. And the Hanissim prayer is absolutely the essence of Hanukkah. So don't miss it. It's true that if you forgot it, you don't have to go back in your Shemona Esrei, but that's because rabbis had mercy on us. But the truth is, this is the essence of the whole Hanukkah, is to tap in to the meaning of Hanissim. So Hanissim comes mitoch modim, mitoch the gratitude prayer. And I was thinking, first we have to intellectually recognize that's modim, all the blessings in our life. And from that intellectual understanding of all the miracles in our lives, and of course the miracles that happen on Hanukkah, then we can go to this emotional place of the Hallel when we sing it after Shachris. So that works out rather nicely. Hanissim, also in benching, we put it in the Nod Lecha. In the gratitude prayer, we insert our gratitude for the miracles of Hanukkah. Hanissim. So a nes is in the Torah, a nes actually means a flag. It doesn't mean a miracle. It always means a flag. So the Sfarim explain that it's like Hashem putting out a flag and saying, look, I'm here. You might not have realized I'm here, but look, I'm here. Of course, we believe that Hashem is everywhere, but the miracles remind us, make us more aware of His presence. And Dafka during wartime, there's many, many miracles. In this particular war, if you're looking out, listening to podcasts, I've heard dozens of stories of miracles already. With all the pain, there's also so many open revelations of HaKadosh Baruch Hu out there. If you're like, what am I talking about? I want to hear all these miracle stories. So reach out to me. I'll send you a good 10 or 20, maybe 5 times one day. I'll even make a podcast about all the miracles that are happening in this war, but it's a little close to home, so I haven't put out anything just yet. I haven't felt ready. But if you're curious about what miracles are happening even today, please reach out. I'll send you some miracles. In any case, Hanissim. So a nes again is reminding us of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Vela Purkan, I think also another word for miracles, for salvations. Vela Gvurot, Vela Chuot. And all of the Gvura and the Chua. So Chua again means salvations. What's the Gvuros? So I remember learning in a sefer, I forgot which sefer, but it was a Gewaltige Chassidic sefer many years ago, that the miracle was that we, the Jewish people, had the Gvura. We decided we're not going to get slaughtered Al Kiddush Hashem, we're going to fight Al Kiddush Hashem. And when the Maccabees, right, when Matisyahu got up and fought against the Greek who tried to make Jews eat pig and tried to put Avodah Zarah in the Beis Hamikdash, when the women got up with their Gvura, that itself was a miracle. We said we're going to fight. we're not going to just be, slaughtered. And of course, obviously, what we're saying is super relevant today. The fact that the Jewish people are willing to fight. The stories of Gvura that are coming out from October 7th. I can tell you about my friend Yosef, who is a Gibor. I played Ultimate Frisbee with him on Fridays. A good friend of mine. And he ran up with his brother Asher and fought a hero and saved many people's lives, and unfortunately was struck down. This itself is a miracle that the Jewish people have such a strength and power. The Gvura that we inherited from Yitzchak Avinu, who is a Gibor, Bezrat Hashem. So we're thanking God for His miracles, but also for our Gvura, for our ability to overcome our fears, our desires, and go straight into warfare. It's unbelievable. Even here, people are fighting to get into Gaza. You would think, no, I want to stay back in the safer areas. No, people want to fight for Am Yisrael. It's unbelievable. Val Chuot, Val different lashonas. According to this, as far as niflaot, Val nechamot, but according to Ashkenaz, Val milchamot. But Sfard adds in niflaot, nechamot, Val milchamot. So everyone agrees that we're thanking God for the wars. Sfard adds in niflaot and nechamot. I've seen in other contexts. A Pele refers to the daily miracles that we experience. The miracle of being able to go to the bathroom, for example. The miracle of being able to hear and to listen to this podcast. That's nechamot. That's niflaot. Nechamot, even the consolations that God gives us. We thank Him for that too. Ve'ala milchamot she'asita lavotenu, that you did for our fathers. Bayamim ahem, in those days, bazman hazeh. At this time, but of course, in this context, even in these days, God is still doing miracles for us, and it's just as relevant then as now, of course. Now let's jump into it. Now you'll notice that Bimei Matityahu, the Hanukkah story, is a lot longer than the Purim story. I wonder if it's perhaps because we already have a summary of the Purim story in the Megillah, but we don't have a reading of Sefer Maccabim. It's not one of the holy books. So the Hanissim gives us the chance, 8 days, to review the story of Hanukkah. It's also interesting that in the Gemara in Shabbos, and it stresses that my Hanukkah, what's Hanukkah? The miracle of the oil that lasted 8 days. Whereas in Hanissim, the miracle that's stressed is the war, overcoming the enemies. Not a mention of that in the Gemara in Shabbos. So many, many rabbis have discussed this issue. Soloveitchik talks about it, Jonathan Sachs talks about it. In any case, I think the simplest understanding is, of course, what we're celebrating is the fact that we beat the Greeks, the war. But the candles is our way of telling us, reminding us that it wasn't just that we beat the Greeks, that Hashem helped us through miracles to beat the Greeks. And what was the goal of beating the Greeks? Of bringing the Shekhinah into our midst. Never to forget the goal of it all. But in Al Hanissim prayer, we stress the military miracle. Okay, let's jump into it. Bimei Matityahu ben Yochanan Kohen Gadol. In the days of Matityahu, the son of Yochanan Kohen Gadol. As we mentioned, Matityahu was a Kohen, and he witnessed that the Syrian Greeks were putting idols in the Beit HaMikdash, and he refused to, allow that. So he moved with his kids to Modi'in. He didn't want to witness Zeus in the Beit HaMikdash. And then the Greeks went to Modi'in, and they asked, if I remember correctly, they asked them to do a pig, or to eat pig, to break Torah, and Matityahu killed the Mityaven, the Jew who had given in to these Greeks, and a few Greek soldiers too. And that began a revolution where Matityahu and his children hid out in the caves, and Matityahu actually died within the year, but his children, Yehuda and Maccabi, the most famous of which, launched this unbelievable genius war against the Greeks, the world superpower, and actually won. So Matityahu gets a special mention, as does his father, Yochanan Kohen Gadol. Why does Yochanan get a special mention? I believe perhaps it's to remind us that they were fighting, but they were fighting from a place of being Kohanim, of holy Gvura, from fighting for the Beit HaMikdash, taking that zealotry that Levi had with Shimon, and that Moshe Rabbeinu had with the Egel, and using it in a holy way. Now, Yochanan Kohen Gadol himself was working in the Beit HaMikdash when Hashem gave him a prophecy. The Gemara in Sotah Lamed Gimel says that his children had beaten Antiochus, and he himself actually made a decree that Jews should not work on Chol HaMoed, they shouldn't allow blacksmiths to make a lot of noise because it would take away from the energy, from the holy energy of Chol HaMoed. So perhaps as a midah keneged midah, his children brought a new holiday to Am Yisrael, where the minhag is not just women but men too don't work during that first half hour of when the candles are lit, and his care for the holiness is what brought forth his children fighting and bringing new holy days for the Jewish people. So that's a little bit about Yochanan Kohen Gadol, Keshchashmonayu Banav, the Hasmonean, and his children. Kisha'amdu Malchat Yavan Rishalam Alamcha Yisrael, when the kingdom of Yavan, the wicked kingdom, came out against the Jewish people. I always notice that the Yavan is the Yud, which symbolizes HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, which is supposed to be Vav Nun. It's supposed to be brought out. The Vav is a little longer. The Nun goes down to the world. It's supposed to bring out Hashem to the world, but it was being used, unfortunately, to obsess around human beauty and to make humans a god instead of making God the god. So they switched everything around. And so we take beauty and we go out of our way to use that beauty to serve Hashem on Hanukkah. It's the only holiday that we have 3 levels, Mahadrin and Mahadrin min kosher, Mahadrin and Mahadrin and Mahadrin, and every Jew goes out of their way to do the mitzvah in the most beautiful way, because we're doing the tikkun for Greece, as Rabbi Foreman taught me. In any case, so Yavan was wicked. They did the opposite of their purpose in the world. La'ashkicham Toratecha, to make us forget our Torah. Right? The Gemara, the Midrash compares the Yevanim, the Greeks, to Choshech, to darkness. Torah is there to bring us light, to bring us purpose. Right? Imagine you're in a dark room and what allows you to get around? Your flashlight. Right? You take out your iPhone and you put the flashlight on. So that's the Torah. It gives us purpose. It gives us meaning in this dark world. And the Greeks wanted to make us forget our purpose, wanted to make us forget it all. That was their issue. Lashkicham Toratecha, la'avira michukei retenecha, to make us stop doing the chukim, right? And the Greeks said anything that we have no rational explanation doesn't make sense. Why would you celebrate that? Brit Milah doesn't make any sense. Whereas Chassidic Kabbalah says, dafka the chukim, dafka the laws, which we don't have a rational explanation, when we do it because we trust HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that actually brings us to a higher spiritual level. The chukim higher than the rational laws. So, Gewalt. So they wanted to take us away from the chukim. And you, in your mercy, maybe we didn't deserve it, but Hashem, in your mercy, you stood us up against our enemies. You fought our fight. Dante dinam, you judged their judgment. Nakamte nikmatam, you avenged their revenge, our revenge. Right? When we went and fought for God, God goes and fights for us. Midah keneged midah. And amazingly, what's the nekama? The Greeks, the Midrash says, would not allow us to celebrate Sukkot. So how do we get back at them? We have a new holiday called Hanukkah, 8 days of celebrating. That's the ultimate revenge. We hit them where it hurts. You know, and a lot to think about in terms of the nekama that is necessary right now against some of the chevra in Gaza right now. The nekama, how do we hit them where it hurts? How do we dafka take away what they want to take from us? Something we can all think about. In any case, God hit them where they hurt. God, they wanted to take away holiness. Dafka and Chanukah, every Jew gets involved. Doesn't matter how secular you are, everyone is celebrating Hanukkah. That's our revenge. Masarta giborim bechadashlim, you gave over the strong ones in front of the weak ones. Rabim yad matim, the great ones in front of the small ones. Okay, so this is the miracle of all Jewish history, but certainly the paradigm is in Hanukkah. Utmeim b'atorim, and the impure for the pure. Rishayim b'atzadikim, and the wicked into the tzadikim. One might ask, why does it matter, who that they're impure? Why is that relevant? Perhaps one could argue that's the whole essence. They're fighting for the Beit HaMikdash. They're fighting for purity. So that's the topic at hand. You could also perhaps say that this refers to the Jews who are tamei, because really a non-Jew doesn't have a status of impure. It's not relevant to him. But for a Jew, he can be impure. A Jew who is being mityaven, who was being secularized, Hellenized. Unfortunately, there was a lot of them at the time, and so they too were handed over in the hands of the Maccabees. And wicked ones into the hands of those who immerse themselves in Torah. That's the whole idea of Hanukkah is a continuation of Torah Shabbat Peh. It's a rabbinical holiday, and the best thing to do on Hanukkah is to learn Torah, learn Gemara, learn Torah Shabbat Peh, learn Tfillah, which is also rabbinical. So that's the best way to fight the Greeks. And you made a great name, a holy name in your world, right? We are here to Mekadesh Shem Shamayim, and that's what we're fighting for. And you, for your nation, made a great salvation like this day. Perhaps al derech hadrush, I'd like to say, just like a day is an absolute miracle, right? That it goes from night to day, and then all the complicated astrology and all the crazy laws that need to happen in order for a day to happen. That's also a miracle, and just as big of a miracle as the open revealed miracles like we saw in Hanukkah. And afterwards, we went to your Beis Hamikdash. You would think after the war, let's go back to our family, let's hang out. No, right away, we went to the Beis Hamikdash. Lahavdil mamish, but I wonder if at the end of this war, if instead of going straight back home, everybody just go home, we had a group trip, halavai, not just to the Kotel, at least to the Kotel, but to Har Bayis, Bezrat Hashem. That would be unbelievable end of the war. And we'll see our families there. They'll meet us there. Anyways, they get in there into the Beis Hamikdash, ufinu et heichalecha, and they cleared out the heichal, the sanctuary, v'tiru et mikdashecha, and they purified the mikdash. Hidliku ner b'chatzar kachecha, and then they lit candles in the chatzer. Now, normally, the Lubavitch Rebbe points out, the chatzer, the place of the Beis Hamikdash is inside, not in the chatzer. But perhaps because it was impure, they had to light it outside. And that way everyone could see the miracle of Hanukkah, of how the light lasted those miraculous 8 days. Chassim Sofer actually is an interesting shot. He says, wait a second, everyone asked the question, the Shulchan Aruch's question, what is it? Why are we celebrating 8 days? Really, there was enough oil to last 1 day, so really we should only celebrate 7 days. But he says maybe if it was outside, it was the winter, then the oil they had would have only been enough to last indoors, but it wouldn't have been enough to last outdoors. So it was already a miracle that it lasted a full day when it was outdoors. Creative shot of the Chassim Sofer. Another 200 answers to that question. Anyways, it was in the outside. It was taking the holiness of the inside and bringing it outside, which brings us back to what we do in Hanukkah, take the holiness of the house and bring it outside. But Kavu Shmones mi Hanukkah Elu. And the rabbis established these 8 days, Mi'al Teva 8 days, Lehodot Lelishim Chagadol, to be modeh, to recognize and to praise your great name. On that note, I'll just mention that the Ramban asks so beautifully and so famously, why are we here in this world? What is the purpose of it all? And the Ramban explains, we are here to sing thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're here to recognize that all of life is a gift, to have a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that is the reason why the Midrash says, what is the reason the world was created? For the mitzvah of Bikurim, i.e. giving our first fruits to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, thanking HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What's the first thing a Yid does in the morning? He thanks HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It says Moda'ani. And what is the essence of basically every mitzvah in the Torah? To recognize that all of life is a gift, not to be taken for granted, and to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Hanukkah is that time of the year when we tap into that, when we're singing Al Hanissim, when we're lighting the candles, which the Rambam says the essence of lighting candles is an expression of gratitude to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is the essence of life. Every single day we need to make time to do Hisbodedus, to personally thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not good enough to just think about it. When I was preparing this shir, I was thinking about this, and I actually took 15 minutes to just thank Hashem for all the good things in my life, for all the hard things in my life. And it's a totally different world. Not just to think it, but to say it. You got to say it. Now, you might ask me of Kalman, but at this time, during a war, when there's so much tragedy that's happening all around us, I will say, yes, that's exactly the time. All the time. The Gemara in Brachas teaches us, just like a person's obligated to say thank you during the good times, he's obligated to say thank you during the hard times. We're obligated, to the best of our ability, to constantly thank Hashem all of our lives, every single day of our lives, and the schus of thank you Hashem, dafka during those hard times, with our emunah that it's all for the best, that's going to bring the Yeshuas. That's going to bring the blessings into our lives that Am Yisrael needs so badly. And I see it in here in the army. We're not getting down. There's challenges all around us, but we still make time for gratitude, for positivity, for joy, to always choose joy, get back up again and be joyous. And this is the essence of all of life, this life and the next life, no matter what's happening in our lives, to not let the Yevanim mentality of ungratitude, of complaining, of kvetching. Yes, there's a time in our day, take 5 minutes a day to do Shema Kolenu and daven and say Tehillim for sure. But there's a time for prayer. But most of the time, we have to train our brains to look for the good, to say thank you. And Hanukkah is that time when we absolutely, Bezrat Hashem, go out of our ways to thank Hashem as much as possible, to sing to Hashem, to make some time at the candles tonight, and thank Hashem. When you're saying your Al Hanissim, thank Hashem. Make some time at the end of your Shemon Esrei to go through all the good things in your life, all of your body parts, all of the hard things. And Bezrat Hashem, let's ingrain this minhag of constantly thanking Hashem into our lives. Be'ezrat Hashem b'shem Kol Yisrael. Ala nizim ala purgan ala gvura ala jua ala milchamo ije azita lavoteinu bayamim ha'em b'zman hazeh.